and open up the floor for any questions if you may have any. So, without further ado, are you ready? Yes. All right, up there in the booth, please roll movie. Ladies and gentlemen, there she is. So we're going to start the tour around the ship up on the navigational bridge. That is where I work most of the day, ladies and gentlemen. We have the cockpit up in front, we have the bridge wings and the safety command center. We have someone posted all the time at sea with binoculars. Our fancy equipment does most of the job, but we still need someone with binoculars. Here's our helmsman with manning the steering wheel, the wheel of the Oddysey of the seas. Always someone manned there when we are going in and out of ports. And between ports, automation is doing the job for us. Some of the bridge panels, ladies and gentlemen, you can see the normal bridge manning during a departure. This was from Aruba a couple of weeks ago. Man there in the center cockpit. A lot of nice buttons and sticks. Don't know what they all are, but they're all needed, ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you that. We also have a radio station. Our bridge officers are also licensed radio officers in case our satellites don't work. We can reach the entire world via radio. A view of our safety command center. It's a part of the bridge, but we can close it off. That's where we are dealing with any onboard emergencies. Here we see one of our sister ships, the Freedom class, just to show a little bit about what kind of equipment we have and how it all works and our propulsion system. A conventional ship will look something like this: engine, shaft, propellers. Our ships are installed to the power plant, switchboard, cables that goes back to our Azipod units, electric outboard engines if you wish. So with the same power that we are now pushing through the water with about 20 knots, we can turn those sideways and move the ship sideways with all that power. So that's what it looks like. Another view of our propulsion motors, our Azipods. See how they can turn 360 degrees and give us all that beautiful power to move the ship sideways. To move the bow sideways, we have something called bow thrusters, 4 of them on the Oddysey of the seas. Only use those when we go in and out of port, docking and undocking to get the bow sideways. At sea, it's only the Azipods that are steering. Another very important equipment is, of course, well, here we see when we apply them, both in both ends. We can spin the ship around the dime with our bow thrusters and our Azipods. Another important equipment is our stabilizers, ladies and gentlemen. We have 2 of them located above midships. A fin that extends from a recess in the hull. We have a flap in the back that is controlled by a gyroscope, measures the motions and tries to reduce the rolling of the vessel. And here we have a view of the entire bridge team. Currently about 10 nationalities, male, female, all ages. We are representing everything that has to do with inclusion and diversion in Royal Caribbean. Very proud of that. Yes, then we can have an applause for that. Same down in the engine control room. Here we have second engineer Eva Manning taking the duty. So man 24/7 as well, a second engineer on duty, a third engineer downstairs, making sure that all our technical equipment is working. And here we have Chief insisted I include this in the briefing. We have, of course, RPM controls, engine controls. He says, I can take control if I want to. And then I said, do you really think anybody wants you to? But anyway, that is part of our redundancy. Still in the engine control room, you have all the panels, screens and monitors that I have down there to monitor our engines, propulsion, air condition, pumps, everything. A little trip down to our engine room. We see one of our main engines here. We have 4 of them divided into 2 individual engine rooms with separate switchboards, all for redundancy. Right now we are running with 2 engines. Here's one of our freshwater generators, because, ladies and gentlemen, we do produce our own freshwater on board. All that we need can be produced on board. This is an instrument. It says about 7.5. I have no idea what it is, but I can assure you 7.5 is an excellent number. Down to the laundry. Very busy place on board. We can also do a little bit of money laundering if needed. And we take a trip through the I-95 down on deck number 2. Goes from one end of the ship to the other. This is where we move spares, stores, luggage, crew movement. We have offices there, crew accommodation. We have our crew mess. We have the crew coffee station, day rooms, medical facility. Called the I-95. Past the mess and all the way forward to the crew cafe. A trip up to the galleys, ladies and gentlemen. Have you enjoyed the food? It's been good. A team of close to 200 cooks and chefs are looking well after all of us, ladies and gentlemen. 2 main galleys, production galleys on deck number 3 and 4. And of course, we also have smaller galleys, specialty galleys for the different restaurants. They all have one. Crew Windjammer has its own. Windjammer has its own. Team doing an amazing job. We also have a medical facility, ladies and gentlemen. 2 doctors and 5 nurses and a medical secretary are making sure that we are all well looked after, ready to assist if needed. I'm very happy that we have had another very healthy cruise. The ICU, where we're looking after our incoming patients. Here we see they are getting ready for a heart transplant. You can do anything down there, they say. It doesn't look like he's getting the best of news, ladies and gentlemen. We are still in the medical facility. More traditional equipment for the ship's surgeon. There he is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are of course in our maintenance department. We have a huge team of maintenance workers that are looking after the ship 365 days a year. We don't take the ship out of service to do maintenance. It has to happen while you are enjoying the cruise. That is not always an easy task. This is a crew, it's called a slop chest. It's a crew shop where they can get the most needed items. Could be potato chips, soap, deodorants, it's all available there. Our crew Windjammer, because the crew, they do eat on board as well, ladies and gentlemen. Standing buffet for breakfast, lunch and dinner. A very busy place indeed. We're going to continue to have a look in the crew areas. This is the crew gym, well equipped. You should see me just around the corner. All right, that must have been a different day. crew activity room. We see the pool table there, big steady ship in order to play pool. And one of the crew bars. We actually have 4, only Coca-Cola being served there, as you can see. The crew outer deck, smoking deck here, and we also have a chill out area for the crew. And the sun deck. And now a little bit about passenger ship history, ladies and gentlemen. Here represented by 2 great ladies. The one in the front, you recognize it? Titanic. And the one in the back is the Oasis of the Seas. About 100 years difference between those 2 ships. Titanic 1912, Oasis of the Seas 2009. Big development. And this is what it's going to look like in the next 100 years. We won't be around to see it anyway, ladies and gentlemen, will we? Who knows? Who knows what's going to come? Company history, a view of our fleet here from the very first ship in 1970, the Song of Norway, through the Sovereign class, or the Mega class, the Vision class, Radiance class, Voyager class, Freedom class, Quantum class, and Oasis class, and soon to join the fleet, the Icon class, 2023. A sail set from the 1970s showing the best room that you could get on board. It was very fancy indeed. This is from the Song of Norway. It has changed quite a bit through the years as well. That's my room, by the way. I was just kidding. That is the Royal Loft Suite on board an Oasis class. Well equipped, over 2 decks. You got a piano there. If you can afford this room, you can bring your own piano player, that's for sure. Very fancy accommodation. And that was my little brief, ladies and gentlemen. So, try to cover a lot there, but you may have more questions. There may be stuff there that I did not manage to cover. So now it's over to you. I'm going to bring onto stage 2 of my dearest colleagues. Of course, Cruise Director Mike is coming on, and your Hotel Director Catalin. Please welcome on stage.
Hey TJ, did you like Captain's jokes? Were they okay? Oh, those were okay. Better than mine. Oh, okay. Well, good. As long as I gave him all the good ones, so that's good. As long as you appreciate that. Morning, Catalin.
Good morning, Mike. Good morning, everybody. Well, my name is Catalin. It's an honor and a privilege to be your hotel director on board the Oddysey. I have been with the company for 21 years, almost 22. Started with Rhapsody of the Seas as a room service attendant in 2000. So thank you very much. Welcome on board the newest, best looking, slickest, fastest, technologically advanced, and the best looking officers as well.
There you go.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a very humble guy, as you can see. He is in charge of course, the biggest department on board, which is everything that has to do with the hotel services. It's food and beverages, it's activities, it's entertainment, the overseas, all of that. And counts up to about 1,400 of our 1,600 crew reports up to Catalin. So it's a huge responsibility. And if you're enjoying the cruise, it is these 2 gentlemen that are overseeing and making sure that it is going. I just stand up on the bridge and drive and drink coffee, but I'll take any credit.
Well, we're going to ask some questions here today, or you're going to ask some questions for sure. We do have a couple of our team members here. We have Johnny over here from England. We have Emma over here from Colombia. They are going to, of course, be going around with microphones. And all you have to do is raise your hand. They will come to you, ask your question to them. They will ask it on your behalf, just so we don't have to sanitize the microphone and when we're passing it around. So, or help you return to service. So just throw up the hand and we'll come around to you. Otherwise, we'll just go get breakfast somewhere.
And if it's a difficult question, they will answer it.
And he will answer it.
And nobody. Sorry.
We got a question right here and a question over here. So we got 2 questions.
Good.
There we go. We'll get things started. So, Catalin, you started as you said room service?
Yes, I started as a room service attendant. Yes.
Amazing.
Yes,
Stuff.
but tell us something about yourself, Mike. You have a very interesting.
We're backing the truck up, everybody. So just stand by, please.
But we're very consistent on this. Every
Yeah. I think we maybe need to move to 10:30. Actually, We'll skip me. We'll go to Johnny. I think Johnny's involved in a very deep conversation there. Are we good, Johnny? You're good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Emma. One more second. All right, fine. I started as a DJ. Yep, 2001 on board the SS Norway. I started with a different company in 2007. I came to my senses and came to Royal Caribbean. I started on Sovereign, worked my way up to Oasis class, and then in 2011 I went home to take care of my grandmother. While home, I did what any cruise director would do, transfer their job to land. I became a police officer back home, outside of Toronto, Canada, and I did that for 6 years. Came back to the company, was the first ever cruise director to be awarded Leader of the Year, and worked on Symphony for a year and a half. Here to open this ship, opened up Freedom with Catalan post-pandemic. Came right over to here, opened this ship. We'll leave here in less than 2 weeks, and then we'll have a little break before going to the Wonder. So it's gonna be a nice little contract. So there we go. Emma, we're ready.
Debbie from Idaho, she says that you can have a really long hot shower. So does the water ever runs hot in the shower?
Cold or hot? Is
Cold.
it too cold or too hot?
Oh, does it ever run out?
Run out.
Not in your shower. Not in your shower. No, actually, it would be one of the biggest issues ever if we would run out of water on board. We need that for more than just the showers. We can produce the freshwater generators that we have. We have two systems. We have evaporators that boils the water, produces fresh water, and we have reverse osmosis system that filters the seawater, produces fresh water. And our capacity is close to about 2,500 tons of potable water a day. So there's a lot of backup systems, there's a lot of water we can produce. We will not run out. You can take as long showers as you like.
There we go. Great one. Johnny.
I have Maria from Florida here asking, how does the recycling work with all of the garbage and everything like that? How much is recycled? All of the water bottles?
That is an excellent question. We have probably one of the most efficient institutions on this planet when it comes to recycling. We have a recycling facility on board where all the garbage that is collected from around the ship, waste, let's call it waste, it's more politically to call it waste, isn't it? Anyway, it is garbage. They bring it down to the recycling facility, separate all the garbage into different categories. We land everything that can be recycled, plastic, glass, everything that can be, and what cannot be recycled goes into the incinerator, but it's very little. Our current number for the Oddysey of the Seas, I think, is just at around 97 or 98% recycled waste, which is far better than any other institution.
Emma.
And Corey from Idaho, he wants to know, for the captain, he wants to know what is the displacement of the ship?
Oh, that's an excellent question. You want to guess? 38,000, that's a big ship. 38,000, that's a big ship you were on there. So we, our displacement is just around 80,000 tons. So that's our biggest ship, the Oasis class, is just at 110,000 tons. Big ladies.
Johnny.
Paul from Florida asking, how did the ships work during the pandemic? Who was on board and how many were needed to be on board to keep the ships afloat?
That's a great question.
Do I start?
You can
The
start.
hotel
You can
start
start.
and
You can
Captain
start.
can finish it. All right, very good questions. Like Mike just mentioned, part of being your hotel director before this, we were both involved in, we called it task force teams to bring back the ship to operational. So far we have 18 ships. Actually, Navigator is actually going right now through her simulation voyages, right as we speak. They're on day 2. So we had to restart the entire fleet. When we went into, we call it the cold layup, meaning we had to have crew on board that were covering critical position, both from an emergency standpoint, as well as making sure that on board we have the right conditions for the crew. So there was a marine part, the safety and everything else, and there was the hotel part. So just to give you an idea with some numbers only, the entire fleet of Royal Caribbean went into cold manning, we had an average of about 2,800 crew in the entire fleet, while the entire fleet was an average about 46,000. Right now, currently, I think we're averaging somewhere around 28,000 crew on board. The rotation has started, so there's more and more ships. Probably we reach even 29 at the moment. So the rotation has started and it's going very, very well. In terms of the cold layup, when we had them cold, we still did maintenance. We still did a lot of cleaning, of course, because as you know, they're out at the sea and they get hit with a lot. But a lot of testing of equipment that had to be ongoing, running by, just have a schedule in place. And of course, then we started to bring them back into service, which that was an experience on its own. But yeah, they're all working fine. Everything is going in the right direction. So it's all good. So far, so good.
There was one person from my team who was on. Out of 180 people in my division, one person was on the ship. Let me ask. Let me see if they can guess.
Yes.
Who do you think it would be?
The one in charge of bingo.
No. It was the head broadcast person to make sure the TV was running, because if they're on board, doing the maintenance and they have downtime, they need to have, whether it's TV or some sort of movies or something for the crew. So we had one media person from my team, and that was the only person. That was cool.
And he was going around to the theaters everywhere, turning on and off equipment just to make sure they keep running. And yes, head broadcast technicians. Yes.
A ship of the size of Oddysey would be manned with about 100 crew. So that's not a lot. And then, of course, there you have, from the hotel side was, of course, some cooks and cleaners and some, just to make sure that we were able to keep it running. Majority of the positions were in marine. We had to be able to move the ships around. So the bridge was fully manned, well, it's not fully manned, enough to keep going. Captains were standing duties on the bridge. There were not more than what was absolutely necessary to be able to bring the ships still from A to B. It was difficult times. There was, the ships were like ghost towns, and long contracts for those that were on board. But they couldn't be complaining because the majority of the crew were without contracts. But very long. It was very difficult to change out crew members with quarantine and travel restrictions and so on. So many did stay on board for up towards a year at a time. So it was a long and difficult time. That's why we are so thrilled and happy to be where we are today. Having a guest on board, bringing crew back to work, and it's only going one way from here on, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for your support in doing that. Thank you.
I can't remember who's next. Who's next?
I've got Trent here from Florida directing his question to you, Mike. You're going to Wonder. How long before the launch of Wonder do you have to go to set the ship up? And what challenges do you expect with a brand new ship? And also, what shows are we looking at on the Wonder?
Oh. Put your phones down. I'm not tripping up on that one. Nope. I can't actually talk about that. I can tell you that the cast is reporting to, the Wonder cast is going to be the very first cast to return to the studios in North Miami on January the 3rd. So the studios have been closed for 18 months now, and they're going to be the first cast going back in. All the senior leadership and management, and this question could really go for Captain and Catalan, because they've been both a part of takeout ships. You have a senior leadership group who heads out early. Mostly are arriving on the 3rd of January into France, and then the staff will start to come. The managers will come next, and then they'll have a mass sign-on, which is coming on January 27th in Limassol, I believe, is where that's going to happen. And then the ship comes across. It does a few things like what we're going to be doing next week, which is the naming ceremony, a few special inaugural voyages, and then the very first cruise, I believe, is March 3rd or March 4th. I've been talking to the 4th, thank you. I know some people have been talking to me and telling me that they're booked on that. So March 4th is when we're going. Unfortunately, I can't. If I mentioned what shows were going to be, I would, I'd be working for Carnival. And that's, no, not the cruise line. I'd be coming to your town. And that's what it would be. Yeah. So, but thank you for the question.
Marie from Florida, she wants to know what kind of exhaust is coming out of the ship and if it's filtered or clean before it comes out.
Great question.
That's for you, Mike.
Well, I can tell you it's plume, and I can tell you it's not what you think it is. But allow the captain to talk about the technical part.
This ship is, of course, installed and delivered with all the technology to support existing requirements for emissions. Emissions has become far more important than discharges. Up to about a few years ago, it was all about discharges, what goes into the sea. Now it's all about what goes into the air. So very strict requirements. And this ship is the only ship so far, one of the few ships that are equipped with what is called selective catalytic reduction, which means that we are reducing our nitro oxide emissions in addition to our sulfur emissions. What you see up there may look like a lot of emissions, but it's mainly vapor. It's mainly vapor. The exhaust is going through what's called a scrubber that removes most of the sulfur in the fuel, in the exhaust, and meeting the most strict requirements. We are far above and beyond the requirements, and that is what you are seeing up there. It's called a plume, and is mostly vapor.
A great question, thank you.
Excellent question.
Emma's still writing down a question there. In the meantime, Captain, we always get asked this. Can you tell us about your first, or not your first, but your favorite port to sail in or sail out of? And then maybe Catalin, you can answer the same.
I can. But I do. There's many on my list, but I think I had the pleasure of. I left the company in 2014. I was going to try something else, and I went to work on an oil rig. It didn't last very long. I hated that job. There was no bingo. There was no cruise director with dad jokes or anything around. So I said, no, I want to go back cruising again. So I was gone for 6 months. I came back and I got the job where they offered me to cover a little bit in Azamara. So I was able to sail with those small, beautiful ships and a different product and get that experience in Europe. I had been there before, but with those smaller ships, sailing into Venice is anybody done that? Venice, Italy? That is an amazing, incredible port to sail into. Of course, Cozumel is also nice, but when you compare with Venice, Venice is something else. My favorite itinerary, what's yours?
Baltics, easily.
Baltics,
yeah.
I'll go for Alaska. Anybody done Alaska? No, mine is Alaska. It's just standing up there on the bridge. I mean, sometimes I feel bad of taking paid of doing that job because it's so beautiful. National Geographic and Discovery Channel all day long around you. It changes constantly. Wildlife, nature. It's just incredible views up in Alaska.
My favorite is in the Baltic is Tallinn, Estonia. If anybody's ever been there, anybody been to Tallinn? Yeah, the cobblestone streets, the square. It takes you back hundreds of years. It's incredible. You know that.
I have to agree with Mike. I think the Baltics, actually, when you sail through the fjords, right, it looks like that a bit, right, Captain?
That looks like Norway. Norway's not in the Baltics.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so yeah.
Those palm trees, however, is not Norway.
Okay, now it's not anymore. You just did it to me. They always do it to me. Where are they? Okay, yeah. Love the Norwegian fjords. One of my favorites.
I stand by. Something's coming from Mike here now.
Okay.
He's chewing and he's thinking about something. Go ahead, you can do it.
No,
It's
listen,
okay.
you don't hire me for my jokes. Okay, Emma.
Angela from Florida, she wants to say thank you first. I am going to quote her words. She says, the Royal Caribbean claims to be Las Vegas at sea, and it truly lives up to that. And that the food and service and the entertainment are impressive and unparalleled. And her question.
That's an amazing comment. And
Thank you.
Emma, when you talked to her, you've seen the Effectors, yes?
Yes.
And did you tell her about the Effectors show tonight?
No, I didn't.
Okay, because the Effectors show is something Next, and because you are all here, I'm going to share with you all where you need to sit, because I haven't really shared that information this group. So, only for you who have come and spent some of your morning with us
I've
here.
been told it's good to sit in the theater.
Yes, that's important that you sit in the theater. But like where Captain, myself, Catalin, we all sat for the grand opening. We all sat in, I think it was around row 6 or 7, but anywhere down in the lower section of the theater, but the middle portion. Because there's a lot of technology that goes on in this show, and that's the best place to sit. So get there early, get down there and get some good seats, and it's going to blow your mind. Stuff, yeah.
And her question is, do the shows stay with the ship or will they be different with the years, in a few years?
Yeah, so it's about $5 to $8 million to install a show on a ship. So generally, the lifespan of a ship, it's easier to move a ship to a different itinerary than it is to completely remove a show and then build a new show onto that. So that's where you'll see a ship is out of Tampa, and then next year it's out of Fort Lauderdale, and and that kind of stuff. So it's easier to do that. Yeah, but they'll stay on this ship for the book. Will be on here for probably 10 years. Yeah, but it's consistently changing as well. So, Johnny, well, no questions on this side of the room. Everybody's just hanging out, having fun. Emma's gonna, I think. Oh, there's a question way in the back there. Another question in the middle. Another question here. All I have to do is.
Anyone upstairs? Any questions?
There is one upstairs.
The biggest waves. What's the biggest waves?
The flow rider.
No, it's not the flow rider.
All right, can I tell my, and he was there. Can I share the Oasis crossing story?
Yes, Captain, I was there. Me and you were there. Yeah.
So when we took delivery of the Oasis, of course, we're going to take her across to Fort Lauderdale. We were a little bit late. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember the Oasis of the Seas coming in late?
Yes.
We found some really, really bad weather during the crossing. We were clearing the English Channel, and we ran into a storm like there was absolutely no tomorrow. And it was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was referred to later as a 20-year storm, something that you would find every 20 years. So they don't come across very often. We had, on the very bow of the ship, we had a new instrument, it was called a wave radar, measuring the height of the waves. Until then, it just, it looks like around 1 meter, 3 meters. So this one was measuring the exact height of the seas. And that instrument was knocked out by the seas that we found. The last reading said about 80 feet. That was a good ride. Ride, folks. That was a good ride.
Well, when it hit, Captain, remember it hit the ship. The displacement of water actually hit one of the lifeboats.
Come on.
Yes.
No, we almost we almost lost the lifeboat. So actually 2 lifeboats, and it was difficult because they were prototypes. That was the only ones made. They were the first. This was the first ship, and the first lifeboats were built like that. So we couldn't afford to lose any. So I was staff captain back then. I was in charge of. Staff captain is in charge of safety, security, and maintenance, and lifeboats. So that was my lifeboat we were about to lose. So I went out there in those seas, and we didn't have much to secure, but with rope and securing us. I'm not going to lose that lifeboat during the crossing, and we came across with all lifeboats still hanging there.
80 feet?
80 feet, yes sir.
80 feet.
And guess what? That ship hardly moved. We had vibrations more than anything, especially in the center of the ship. We had some real vibrations, but people were still, our contractors and were still sitting in the Giovanni's having the
We
dinner.
ran out of apples and crackers.
Well, this is what they say. There's 2 things you can
I was
do.
Maitre D back then, yes.
Right, there's 2 things you can do. You can eat apples or peanut butter, because those are the only 2 things that taste the same going down as coming up. So you should be fine. Okay. Emma.
So our ships, yes, they are built to withstand heavy seas. So if anybody thinks that this out there is rough, no.
Kyler from Indiana, he wants to know what is done with the extra food and if there's any chance to use that food for some poor countries.
Good question.
Is that from our young cruiser here?
Yeah. All right, that's great. Very good question. So, We all operate the ship under the United States Public Health. We have systems in place where there is basically on time and on temperature everything. Every buffet, every restaurant has protocols in terms of food to make sure that we keep our guests and our crew safe. So basically, if we have any food left over, it falls into a time and temperature control. If it's a time control, anything that's held after beyond 4 hours has to be discarded. It has to be. We have no choice, otherwise we would jeopardize using food that could have bacteria growth. So, for example, Windjammer, the last food on the line, if it crossed 4 hours, they need to discard it. If it's on temperature, we can basically chill down the food with blast chillers and center protocols, and we do that several times. A lot of the leftover fruit, which falls into the categorized as still safe food by CDC and United States Public Health, we do use it for the crew as well. Right, so we do basically have an efficient process to have minimal wastage in terms of food. We're actually working on a project, it's called Q Control, right now, to see how we can work better with our suppliers, from packaging to making sure that we decrease our wastage. We weigh every time after we finish a meal. We have bins and scales. Don't tell this to anybody. We have scales behind restaurants where we start to weigh to see what's our wastage. And it's fine if there is wastage. There will always be some wastage. It's impossible not to have any. But we do weigh the food, and this way we see how well we have done in terms of our ordering versus cooking and what's the final product. The idea is to have it efficient without impacting any guest experience. So the purpose is not to take away, the purpose is to have it efficient.
I think we should add there, Katalin, that yes, and part of that problem is because we not only want to reduce waste. I mean, it goes through a food processor, if you wish, and it's biological waste. It's not just that, but we are paying for that waste. We are paying for every banana that goes overboard, So we don't want to, of course, from a business point of view, we don't want to have more food waste than what is absolutely necessary. And when it comes to contributing to less fortunate countries, Royal Caribbean is always the first. Whenever there is a crisis with a hurricane or whatever it is, Royal Caribbean is always the first to send a ship down to assist with supplies, with water, with food, and anything they may need, with the evacuation. And we have proven that with every single hurricane there's been specifically in Caribbean. So
we've created communities.
Yes, we have.
We've created communities everywhere, yes.
Johnny.
Robin from Orlando asking about the protocols in the Windjammer. How long are they likely to last with crew members serving us in the Windjammer before it goes back to self-service? Or could it possibly stay as it is? Because they quite like it.
Oh, all right.
They like it. They said they like it.
This is good. And first of all, let me just start by saying we cannot thank you enough for supporting us with these protocols. We work together with CDC and USPH and all these protocols. Mike was with me on Freedom of the Seas when we started the first ship in US, where we had 5 CDC officers on board for 5 days. They walked around with us. They were with us in implementing all these protocols, all this signage and all this sit here, don't sit here, put the mask on, don't put the mask on, vaccinated, non-vaccinated venues. So we partnered, and we've always partnered with the local authorities, in our case the CDC, to find out what is the best formula for us to operate these ships in a pandemic. And as we know, yes, it's going in the right direction. And some of it right now are here to stay. We're still waiting to see, of course, they're always in coordination with numbers. We always look at numbers of ports where we're going, meaning what is the situation with vaccinations, with how the ports are basically coping up with the vaccinations and what their cases are. For now, they're here to stay. We want to make sure that we play safe, and safety is and will remain the #1 priority on the ship. Because COVID, as we know, is still out there, and we are handling it very, very well right now. really well, and it's going in the right direction. Hopefully, maybe not for sure soon. In the future, we will probably give up some of these protocols, but again, none of these protocols will change unless CDC, USPH, and everybody else agree with them.
We are all ready to want to be enjoying walking around without the face masks on, and a lot of these protocols that we feel that we need to have in place in order to ensure a safe vacation on board. But it's impossible for anyone to put a date to when it's going to change. Soon enough. But the dates I don't have.
Still, we, as usual, Royal Caribbean has played, we call it the above and beyond. We've always led the industry and our colleagues in our protocols, and taking in consideration how we have been handling all this, we're still, the numbers and the cases are almost to none at the moment, and we're really handling it very well, and compared to other cruise lines, and I hope everybody can acknowledge that we have been really good. We get you home safely.
I think Mike is ready to come with a comment. I'm going to give you.
No,
the first 500,000 guests that we carried, amongst the first 500,000 guests, 500,000 that we carried in Royal Caribbean, there had been about 150 COVID cases on our ships, and that's a percentage that no one can show.
Yeah.
One thing that will stay for sure, 100%, and hopefully you all enjoyed it, especially those who have cruised before, is Muster 2.0. So when you come on board the ship,
you like that one? All right.
beats putting on a life jacket, standing out 90-degree heat for 20 minutes, right? So it's that is for sure here to stay. It's very
Shoulder to shoulder.
cheek to cheek.
Now we feel, you know, and we're very proud of being able to introduce that. It wasn't easy because in the maritime world, maritime law, that's a very tough bureaucracy. Change something there is very difficult. But as a company, we were able to make something that would improve our product, but also we feel that we are getting the messages about the safety better across than just listening to the PA announcement of some captain with a strange accent that is going to talk about safety. So the technology that we are using now to get the safety message out, we feel is better. So you are better informed about ship safety than the way it was before. So it's a win-win-win.
Very good. Emma.
Kevin from Florida, he wants to know the basics of new Icon class, or see what kind of information can you give us about the new Icon class?
Go for it, Captain.
I could tell you, but yeah, no. Honestly, we don't know too much because we are not very good at keeping secrets. So they don't share too much about those ships here. All we know, what has been published, of course, is the Icons class is going to be run with LNG, liquefied natural gas, again for to become closer to zero emission as a fleet, which is a goal that we eventually will reach. So that's a step in that direction. She's going to be spectacular. She's going to be big, size-wise, somewhere between the Odyssey and the Oasis, somewhere between the Quantum and the Oasis class. She's going to be spectacular. There's going to be things there that's going to blow your mind. It's going to be a new game changer for Royal Caribbean, and that's about all I have to say about that.
What is worth mentioning, maybe, Captain, is just that we have a department shoreside. It's called product development. So all of these new things you see on board the ship, the shows, the restaurants, the concepts, we have a team dedicated only to come up with super ideas. That's what they do. They come up with an idea, they put it, they present it, they see what's happening, and then the engineers, designers, they all start to work on it. So there is a lot of things in the plans. I've been in a few meetings. I had to sign to go into a meeting. We have the so-called the lab. There's a big screen as big as this, where they start to put things on top. It is super exciting. And this team is coming up with ideas that, as usual, they blow your mind. So it is superb. And
Katalin, I
signed my
heard
info with it.
that the captain is getting his own swimming pool on the Icon. Is it
Yes,
true?
I'm getting a jacuzzi. Yeah.
You're getting a jacuzzi.
No, you're
Getting a toilet. Emma.
Nancy from Florida, she wants to know what kind of waste goes into the ocean from the ship.
into the ocean. The only thing of what you have, what comes under the category of waste that goes into the ocean is food waste, which is grinded up to a fine mass. But actually on our ships, on Oddysey of the Seas, we dry the food waste. It's only the liquid waste out of the food waste that goes overboard. It's been diluted with seawater, and so it's no harm to the environment at all. It's biological waste. The residues are dried and burned. That's all that goes into the water. There's nothing else, no other waste that goes into the water from Royal Caribbean ships.
Very good. We have one more question over there, I believe, and Emma's just grabbing it.
Oh, sorry, I should mention, there's something called human waste. You want to talk about that?
No.
No? Someone is nodding. She's nodding. Sorry, she's nodding. So let's talk about human waste. We have state-of-the-art equipment to look after. We have something called bioreactors. And these bioreactors, they have to consist of colonies of bacteria that eats the bacteria in the waste that comes from our cabins and other places around the ship. And the final product, so to speak, that is the discharge overboard, because again, residues are able to be dried and burned. The final product is as clear as drinking water. You can actually drink it. We are not recycling yet, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't go into the potable water line yet. But there are places in the world that have the same equipment where that is actually recycled. You get to drink it again. Not here, no, we're not here. But that is, if we're talking about human waste, because that is also something that goes overboard, but is that clean. How's your water, Mike?
I paid $22 for it. It's good. Emma.
Trent from Florida, he wants to know about the naming ceremony and what is special about it, what is it about, and what is special about it.
Can I go first?
Okay.
I'm gonna have dinner with a godmother. Yes, that is. Oh, I'm looking so much for. I'm gonna put on something nice.
I'm setting up all the process.
Yeah, he gets to do all the hard work. I get to eat dinner. That's how it goes. Yeah, you've been working so much on this now. Catherine, go ahead.
Yeah, myself, Captain, we all been working on this, Captain included. Without us working as a team together with the entire executive committee, it wouldn't be as successful as the ship is. But thank you, Captain. I appreciate it. He's very involved, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, thank you, Captain. So we will have the naming ceremony. We have the godmother, Richard Fain, very, very high executives. They're all coming on board. We will be docked alongside. There will be cocktail parties and so on and so forth, speeches, meetings, and so on and so forth. And we will have a bottle of champagne.
That will break.
That will break. We tested it, did we? Yeah, we tested. It will be tied up from the deck number 15 forwards on a cable going down into a plaque right there on the front of the ship next to the heli deck there, and it will break at the push of a button. And fireworks outside the ship, special dinners and events. Everybody on board is part of an invite group that usually come and support us. A lot of the shoreside people that get.
We take requests. If there's anybody that would like to join us, just to call him afterwards. He'll take any request.
Yeah, we'll. Yes, it's an amazing event. It's an amazing event where the ship becomes has a godmother, and it becomes like the tradition in the Marine. We name her, and she gets a name. Finally.
So that's a naming ceremony, which it doesn't have to happen immediately. And many times our ships are delivered in the yard in Europe, and they sail over to the States or wherever they're going to operate, and then you have the official naming ceremony there. What is important before a ship can leave the yard and head to high seas is that the ship has to be blessed. So we do have someone with high spiritual connections coming on board and go through the actual blessing of the ship. So that is taken very important, has to take place before we can head to high seas.
Let's be honest, they're coming on as a celebration.
Yes.
And who supports the celebration? The shows, the live music, the party venues, the DJs. This is where everybody wants to just come, Once we get all the business out of the business up front, it's like a mullet. Business up front,
Yeah.
party in the back, right? This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So they do a little business, name, bless, smash champagne, and then whew, there they go. So it's
Here we
going to be
go.
great. It's going to be great, and we're
Yeah.
showing them the effectors, and we're showing them Showgirl, and we're showing them the book. Those are the three things that we're showing. So you guys are getting all of those. So you're getting exactly what everybody else would be getting, which is really, really cool. Because sometimes they hold back a show for this event, and there was talk about whether they were going to hold back effectors to be the first people to see it. But you guys are now the third group of guests to see it, so it's, we're still making it look beautiful. And we'll go over to Johnny.
I have Tony here asking, why are a majority of the captains Norwegian?
Yes, great question.
Yes, why?
Because they're the best sailors, Vikings, right?
All right, I won't go there. There's a long history in Royal Caribbean with Norwegian seafaring tradition. Some of the families that were part of starting up Royal Caribbean back in 1968 were Norwegian ship owners, and that's where a lot of this is coming from. So until the 90s, most of the officers on board were all Norwegian. We had Norwegian flag on the ships. They were registered in Oslo, Norway, and it's basically whatever remains from there that is the reason why we still have a lot of Norwegian captains in Royal Caribbean and in some other cruise lines. So that's why. But you know, sad as it may sound, or some might be relieved by it, but I'm the last generation, so it won't be the same case. And if you come back cruising in 10 years, there won't be the majority Norwegian captains any longer, because they are from that era, many of them, and are getting closer to retirement. So I am the very last generation of Norwegian navigators in the Royal Caribbean.
It's always great when you work with a Norwegian captain. The captain of Wonder is going to be Captain Rob Hempstead, who is from Seattle, Washington. So, you know, it's while we still have a predominant group of Norwegian captains, there's other nationalities sprinkled in.
I think we need to highlight that, because yes, we are all, so that's the reason why we have all the Norwegian captains. But we are all about diversion and inclusion. If you have the skills, you can become a captain. And that is why Royal Caribbean had the first female captain back in 2007, I think it is. Miss Karen, she was the first female captain in a major cruise line. We had the first Chinese captain. We have, as I said, up on the bridge now, potential future captains. We have 10 nationalities represented. Very proud of representing that. So thank you for that observation.
Emma.
Corey from Idaho has a question for the captain, and he wants to know, how do you become a plank owner?
How do you become a?
Plank owner. Is it by invitation?
How do you become a plank owner? We've got these new ships coming out.
Oh, you want to become a part owner of a ship?
Plank.
Plank owner. You're the plank expert, Mike. That's yours.
I have no idea what you're talking
What
about.
plank
What the
are you
heck is a
talking
plank?
about?
Is that when we
we
extend
walk
once
when we jump?
Yeah, we.
Plank.
That's for the new cruise. The ship's commission brings you.
Oh. First crew on a new ship.
Yes.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh.
I didn't know
Well, Mike is a plank
That's a Navy
owner.
thing?
Ah.
It's a Navy. Are you from the Navy as well, sir?
Okay.
Ah, you see, this is.
Well, I can talk from the hotel.
We build our ships in steel, so we don't have planks on the hull. There's nothing.
I was so confused. I was like, what dimension am I in right now? Okay, good.
So-
CJ, you could have helped me out like 5 minutes ago. You see me going.
Plank. Maybe something we should introduce.
But so, when we start the ships, right? When the ship is in the shipyard, I can talk for the hotel side, and Captain, I'm sure for the marine side. But I was a new build F&B director, so I opened Symphony, Harmony, Quantum, Anthem, quite a few ships in the yard. So what do? Our progress on this is we try not to impact the entire fleet. So we need to take experience. So we usually aim for a 10% crew from the entire fleet. Yes, we do look at nationality, diversity, female versus male ratios. We're looking at length of contract, how long they've been home, and we create a crew. That's how we do it for the crew side. And then we don't want to increase the number more than 10% because, the success of the ships, and I'll be very honest with you, no matter what we build, these are beautiful, Mike. They're great. Lasers, robots. We call that the hardware. But I think you'll agree with me, but still the success of the ship still is the software, which in our case, it is, will be, and will always be the crew. So we create that crew for that ship from 10% from each total crew of the ship. And then we bring them in the yard, we train them to the new product, and we bring them up to speed with everything that they have to do. And that's how you become a crew for a new ship.
Plank owner.
Plank owner. That's how you become a plank owner. And trust me, it's a very exciting process because the crew come in, you see only steel, you see none of this, and all of a sudden, within 3-4 weeks, you see restaurants coming alive, you hear the noise of the forks and the knives, you hear the shows and everything. It's really exciting, and yeah, it is an amazing feeling. It's great.
Cool. Johnny? No, sorry, Emma? Oh, one last question here. We'll finish, ma'am. Go ahead. Oh, we actually have two. One over here. Emma, do you want to grab that one? What's the training for the captain and your education, sir?
Are you concerned? Is there anything? I have found every port so far this cruise. It's been a good one. So, we have. It's very interesting because we often get that question. It's not a very common education in many countries to take the career path that I've took. It is you need to study navigation. And you need to fulfill international requirements for your certificate. So there are certain modules that you have to go through that can be, depending on the country, can be achieved in many different ways. In some countries, it's a purely a military education. It's a Navy education, and others is a university. It can be a nautical academy. There's a different ways of and every country has their own. So, you get your basic ticket, you do your studies, you get your exam, and you can become a second officer. So the entry level in Royal Caribbean for navigators is second officer, with the officer of the watch ticket. In order to be captain, you need to have a driver license that says a big white box. So that's it is called the unlimited master license in order to become a captain in Royal Caribbean. So you go through the ranks, you get your sailing time, your experience. The last position before captain is staff captain, second in command. And when the company sees you fit to take a command, they offer you that. So that's basically how it goes. Traditionally, it's a career from entry level to become a captain is somewhere between 15 and 20 years. That's a normal career path. So yes, I started when I was 5. Got that right? Excellent. Did I answer your question? Wonderful.
We'll finish with this last question here, Emma.
Don from California wants to know if this ship is equipped with the bubble system, just like the Oasis class, the course for efficiency.
Yes, the only thing is we put champagne out.
No.
200 crew.
We have the bubble system. Quantum of the Seas, which was the first in the quantum class, was the first ship to have the ALS, the air lubrication system. So it was what that is, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are sailing, or we're floating on a bit of bubbles to reduce the friction between the hull and the sea when we are sailing, and for fuel economy. So there's different holes. They're supposed to be there at the bottom of the ship that pumps out small bubbles, and it's all just a nice little bit of bubbles that we are sailing on. Fancy, huh? Very good. Excellent question.
Thank you for the questions, everybody. We are going to do some final remarks, and then as a reminder, we have...
I have the whole morning. I have nothing else to do. I'm enjoying this. What are you going to do? Where's the bingo?
No, it's not the bingo. No, we meet the stars here at 11:45, Captain. We're going to have some of the entertainers up here on the main stage. So, final words from our hotel director, and then we'll finish with the captain.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say, first of all, thank you for cruising with us. We wouldn't be here on stage if it wouldn't be for you. Thank you for your loyalty. Thank you for acknowledging this amazing, amazing crew we have around the ship taking care of you. Look forward to seeing you again. It's a pleasure and an honor to be your hotel director. Thank you.
Same here. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We have a great port waiting for us tomorrow, but this is my last, it's a bit sad, but it's my last time during this cruise to be on stage. You know, I always enjoy that. Thank you for coming here today. I hope that you are enjoying the cruise so far, and thank you for trusting in us. Thank you for coming cruising and trusting in us, and being part of this amazing experience, bringing cruising back on, ladies and gentlemen. So you deserve a round of applause as well. Thank you so much.
Our hotel director, Catalin, our captain, Captain Cinder, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you back here at 11:45.